The DOJ recently arrested a top executive from Bitslotto, a cryptocurrency exchange that allowed criminals to profit from ransomware, drug trafficking, and other illegal activity. Eun Young Choi is the director of the department's National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team. Eun Young, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Mimi.
So explain what happened in that Bitslotto case. What was the crime? How did you guys respond?
Sure. As we allege in our charging instrument there, Bitslotto was an illicit cryptocurrency exchange that did not do what it was required to do under U.S. regulations. In fact, it was not licensed to operate, even though it did have U.S. customers in its base, and it did not follow the regulations that are required under the Bank Secrecy Act, including having things like a robust anti-money laundering program and know your customer policies. Now, what does that mean, really? It means that anyone on the internet who wanted to launder funds could go to Bitslotto and provide literally no identifying information about themselves and transact millions of dollars. As we allege in our complaint, Bitslotto facilitated billions of dollars worth of transactions, including $700 million with Hydra, a darknet marketplace that we took down last April with our German counterparts. And so in our view, it's a pretty significant enforcement action, both because we worked with our domestic partners at the United States Treasury and using their tools and enforcement mechanisms, as well as with 6 different international partners led by the French to do arrests and enforcement actions and searches across Europe, as well as take down their digital infrastructure that allowed the cryptocurrency exchange to persist.
So tell me a little bit more about this dark web platform called Hydra Market. They were involved in this. What role did they actually play with Bitslotto?
As we alleged, Hydra was a darknet marketplace that existed that sold all sorts of illicit contraband, including narcotics. And when we have set forth in our complaint is that at least $700 million of illicit transactions occurred between Hydra, the marketplace, and its users, as well as Bitslotto, which means it helped facilitate the transactions that were happening on Hydra. We say darknet marketplace, that just means it's a marketplace that's on the hidden web, where there's technology used to try to hide the true identities of the folks that are using that.
So how significant is this case?
In our view, it's quite significant for 2 different reasons. One is that it highlighted the tools that we can use across government domestically in order to disrupt ongoing criminal activity. So in this case, as we mentioned, we arrested the operator, the founding operator and majority shareholder, who happened to be in Miami. He is a Russian national who was living in China for quite some time. The entity itself was registered in Hong Kong. As a result of its analysis, Treasury decided to designate it as a primary money laundering concern for Russian illicit finance, given the amount of ties it had with Russian criminal and illicit finance activity. And in addition, we partnered with our international partners because the people who were operating it were really throughout the world. They were in at least 3 different European countries. We had 6, as I mentioned, 6 different law enforcement partnerships with European authorities coordinated through Europol, and we had to take down the servers and the infrastructure that was located in Europe at the time.
Yeah, there's a lot of countries involved in
Yes.
this. I mean, how are you coordinating all those different pieces with different countries, and they have different laws, they have different, structures?
That's what makes this a notable achievement for us. It's a blueprint and the role that, sort of the model that we want to use going forward. The way that we do that is to just continue to build strong partnerships. We've been working in the cryptocurrency space in the Department of Justice since the advent of cryptocurrency, and even before that on international takedowns involving digital assets. And so we're at a place where we know who our partners are who can do this type of work, and instances in which we know that there are countries where we see a rise of illicit activity relating to digital assets. We're making sure that we can build strong partnerships with them and teach them the ways of how to investigate these crimes. So it's not, so we can be sort of forward-leaning in our approach. When we see a digital asset crime touch in a jurisdiction that we have partnerships with, we can go to them and say, you should take the lead. And that's a model we use in Hydra as well. We were investigating Hydra. We realized that there were significant ties with the German jurisdiction, and they are excellent law enforcement partners, so they could take the lead on parts of that operation. Similarly, in Bitslotto, the same with our French partners. They are excellent at this type of work, and we knew that we could reach out to them to get the job done.
So, Eun Young, what is it about digital currency that lends itself to criminal activity?
Sure. I mean, I think it's like any other type of technology. It can always be exploited by bad actors. There's some specific factors that are built into the technology that we think help facilitate its use in criminal activity. Among them is that it was created to avoid financial intermediaries and allow for cross-border transactions that happen quite quickly without the capacity to reverse those transactions. So that means if you're a victim of a crypto crime, even if you realize that you've become a victim quite quickly, there's no way to reverse the transaction once you've sent that money. And so we're trying to develop ways in order to combat the sort of international aspect of cryptocurrency to make sure that everyone within the department who works these types of cases has the competency to understand how to follow money through the blockchain and knows all the authorities and the tools that we have both within the DOJ and with our law enforcement partners and also with our federal partners like Treasury.
Just very briefly, tell me a little bit about the team, the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team, and what you're responsible for.
Sure. It was set up by the Department of Justice in late 2021. I was appointed as its first director about a year ago in February of last year. And the purpose of the team was a recognition from the department that we're now seeing digital assets touch upon all of our types of investigations in the criminal sphere, be it drug dealing, be it cybercrime, be it fraud against the American consumer retail public. So we needed to make sure that we had a group of centralized subject matter experts drawn from across the department who specialize in money laundering, cybercrime, fraud, and a variety of other types of tools who know how to do these cases to try to not only specialize in doing these types of disruptive activities that are about these platforms, but also to try to help train our workforce to do this job better.
Eun Young, thank you so much for joining us.
Great, thanks for having me.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any future Government Matters interviews.